You didn't stumble across this by chance. This moment has been waiting for you. Everything you've been feeling, all the questions you've been carrying, that restlessness in your spirit. It's not random. It's revelation. You've been searching, digging, wondering if you're crazy for sensing more, for feeling deeper, for seeing through the surface. But you're not crazy. You're called. This message is your confirmation. The shift you feel is real. The timing is perfect. And the reason it hits so deep? Because it was meant for you. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're becoming. And now, the very thing the world tried to convince you to suppress, that's the key. That's the fire. That's the signal. So take a deep breath. You're not alone in this. You're not lost. You're aligned. And this, right here, is where everything begins to make sense. Let's go. Nothing about your existence is coincidence. You arrived encoded with instructions, etched not in ink, but in light. Long before your name was spoken here, your essence was known elsewhere. A sacred pattern impressed upon your being waited patiently for the appointed time. That time isn't coming. It has arrived. You weren't sent here to merely witness this moment. You were born to shape it. The signal has been clear to those who can feel beyond the surface. Whispers in the spiritual current have always spoken of one concealed until the hour demanded unveiling. That hour is now. This message is not casual content. It is a transmission meant to activate remembrance. And those who feel that pull deep in their bones, you're not imagining it. You're being summoned. This is your confirmation, personal and prophetic. A sign only those attuned will truly recognize. If your spirit pulses at these words, respond in your own way, not just with clicks or comments, but with alignment. This isn't for entertainment. It's for remembrance. This is the lock meeting its key. Looking for purpose and peace? Hit subscribe and start the journey. Everything in you is beginning to reassemble. Your awareness sharpens. Your purpose crystallizes. What once felt distant now feels familiar. You've carried this within you all along. It's simply been waiting for you to remember. Those who continue through this message will not just learn, they will awaken. This is not fleeting inspiration. It's encoded truth, layered and alive. It's meant to be revisited like sacred text. Every return uncovers another fragment of your knowing, another spark, reigniting the flame you were never meant to forget. Let's begin the unraveling. Chapter 1. The transmission is already in motion. If your heart overflows with divine love, now is the moment to let it shine. Click the super thank you button on YouTube and give $50 or more to help carry God's light to others. Your gift will bless not only your life, but countless others. You are part of His sacred plan. Your kindness may be the answer to someone's prayer. Share your blessings and honor His kingdom. May His grace guide you always. Before this lifetime, before the noise and the forgetting, something ancient called out across the fabric of time. Not as a scream, but as a pulse. As the world poured itself into illusion, and idols, a small number of awakened souls, received a vision, one not of fear, but of preparation. What they saw wasn't just external chaos, it was a spiritual famine, a hollowing out of the soul, a forgetting of origin. In their deepest moments of stillness, these visionaries saw the code of a coming restoration. Not loud, not obvious, but certain. Hidden in ceremony, encoded in memory, waiting for those who could feel it to rise and respond. It doesn't broadcast through headlines or shout through megaphones. The message moves in silence, whispered across generations, sealed into sacred rhythms, hidden within the pauses between ordinary moments. It's passed from soul to soul, cloaked in symbols, encoded in songs, buried in the breath of elders who speak not to be heard, but to awaken. Because the raw, unfiltered truth was never meant to be consumed by the masses. It was designed for the few who carry it, and one of them is you. Not for being polished or perfect, but because your essence was formed with sacred intent. You were constructed with precision, by forces beyond comprehension, built to walk a trail most would never dare approach. The wisdom you hold isn't something you learned, it's something your bones remember. You didn't just arrive, you were delivered, not randomly, but deliberately. And as with all ancient assignments, your arrival required concealment, hidden beneath layers of pain, distraction, and despair. Because timing is everything, and no revelation unfolds before its moment. You felt forgotten, but in truth, you were only being positioned. You weren't being punished, you were being forged. Every wound carved space for deeper purpose. Every disappointment sharpened your discernment. Every silent breakdown was a spiritual tuning. What you walked through didn't break you. It refined you into a vessel capable of carrying a vibration this world desperately needs. Make your impact eternal. Join now and be a light in someone's darkness. Because this isn't just about your personal breakthrough. It's about everyone connected to your frequency. An entire generation, an entire lineage converges in you. You stand where their prayers landed. You are the doorway they hoped would open. Yes, the path has been heavy, and no, the fog hasn't cleared. But the signal is strong, and the time is now. That ache you feel is the echo of your calling. That pressure is proof of your magnitude. That urgency in your chest isn't anxiety, it's alignment. And this is why you don't fit where others settle, why you feel what others ignore, why your soul won't stop whispering when the world tells you to be quiet. The moment has arrived. The frequencies are shifting, the locks are disengaging, and all that has been hidden within you begins to rise. What was buried now surfaces. What was only felt now becomes seen. This isn't coincidence. This is the unfolding. This is the reactivation. You step not into a role, but into the reflection of who you've always been. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not unsure. You are right on time. The revelation is alive inside you. And now it begins. Every signal that's followed you since birth, every pattern, every strange knowing, every unexplainable pull was never noise. It was guidance, a trail of sacred markers leading you to this moment. Even when you didn't have words, your spirit knew. Even when you didn't understand the signs, you were the sign. You still are. You were never wired to blend into the background. There's always been something about you, subtle yet undeniable, that sets you apart. Even in your earliest days, the world felt heavier, deeper. While others ran toward noise, you searched for stillness. While others accepted answers, you questioned their origin. And even before you had the words, you could sense what others missed. Something sacred beneath the surface. You've always felt the undercurrent, beneath faces, behind actions, beyond appearances. Your senses extend past what's seen. Environments speak to you in frequency. Emotions pass through you like electric current. You carry a lens no one handed you, one that filters truth from illusion without permission. Rooms shift when you enter, not because of ego, but because of essence. Sleep never meant escape, it meant messages. Random moments have always come laced with symbols. You've been called names like too much, too quiet, or too intense. But deep down, even they could feel it. You're not just in the world, you interrupt it. You've been moving to a rhythm that no one else hears, responding to a map others can't see. No one trained you for this. No one explained what it means to carry ancient architecture inside modern skin. But your soul has always known the language, even if your lips couldn't form it. The truth hasn't been taught to you, it's been calling you. Through whispers, through numbers, through moments that feel too exact to be accidental. You notice the sequences, the gut feelings that don't lie, the strangers who say exactly what you needed to hear. These aren't accidents. These are signals, reminders, confirmations. And they're not just happening around you, they're activated within you. You were born carrying coordinates towards something most can't even imagine. The shallow has never satisfied you. You try to pretend, to blend, to comply. But you always return to the ache for more. Not more stuff, more meaning. You didn't choose this path consciously, but you've never really had the option to ignore it. The world has tried to fragment you with fear, fog, and fatigue. But something eternal keeps calling you forward. And no matter how hard life has hit, it hasn't erased your blueprint. Even when you wandered, you were never lost, only being rerouted. Even when you broke, the message inside you remained intact. Even when you forgot who you were, the mission never forgot you. The signs kept tracking you down because you've always been part of something bigger than your pain. Every honest breakdown, every moment you walked away from what didn't align, every truth you clung to instead of comfort, that was the real you rising. That was memory activating. That was legacy unfolding. This isn't new. This is ancient. And now it's time to stop pretending you don't feel it. The reminders are no longer soft. They don't fade anymore. They surround you, press on you, shout through the silence. Because the hour has come to stop shrinking into false versions of yourself. The truth has been chasing you your entire life. Now it stands in front of you, asking to be claimed. When your heart is full of God's love, it's a sign to give. By tapping the super thank you button and offering $100 or more, you become a vessel of His grace. Your generosity can change lives, reaching hearts you may never meet. You have a divine purpose, and this act of faith carries His light forward. Give now, and may His blessings surround you always. And here it is. You're not imagining the weight. You're not mistaken about the signs. You're not wrong for sensing something powerful stirring. This is your return to alignment. And the reason it all felt like war? Because it was. You were never lost. You were always being activated. From the moment you arrived, you carried something rare, an imprint few could define, but many could sense. Before your name was known in this world, your essence was recognized beyond it. And not just by divine hands, but by forces designed to oppose anything radiant. This is why resistance met you early, not because you were weak, but because you were marked. Your earliest memories are not coated in peace. Instead, they echo with confusion and heaviness. Conflict surrounded you before you could even speak its name. Emotional weight pressed down before you could understand its origin. Those meant to shelter sometimes became the source of storm. But that wasn't failure, it was formation. You were born into a forge, not a cradle. While others moved through life unaware, you learned to read energies before language. While many chased ease, you became acquainted with pain that sharpened purpose. The adversary doesn't target the average. It reserves its force for those carrying encoded assignments. And your soul, it holds a map etched long before your arrival. Attacks were never random. They were calculated, meant to confuse, not just wound. The true goal wasn't destruction, but disconnection from your core, your identity, your knowing. The strategy wasn't loud, it was subtle. Familiar faces became vessels for disruption. Environments you didn't choose became classrooms in disguise. Sensitivity became a doorway for sabotage, until it became your strength. It was always a game of belief. If you could be convinced you were unworthy, unseen, unloved, then the prophecy would stay dormant. But what was meant to bury you only fertilized your roots. You did not shatter. You shifted. You reconstructed from the ground up. Every scar became instruction. Every fall gave you data. Pain taught you nuance. Loss gave you precision. The betrayal refined your perception, not your bitterness. What looked like ruin became revelation. You didn't collapse. You calibrated. You didn't quit. You questioned. And that's what the adversary never accounted for. Your refusal to stay asleep. You rose, not just to continue, but to remember. The setbacks became staircases. What once numbed you began to wake you up. Now, your clarity is sharp, your purpose is active, and everything that once tried to trap you begins to retreat, because they see what you're becoming. Systems tremble when you speak with conviction. Patterns break when you refuse to shrink. Alignment with your essence rewires everything around you. You've stopped hiding in politeness. You've stopped shrinking in shame. You walk differently now, not to impress, but because you finally know why you're here. Dormant prophecy is possibility. Activated prophecy is impact. And your awakening, it's seismic. You were never designed to blend in. You were sent to shift atmospheres. The darkness aimed to stall you. But light like yours doesn't fade. It intensifies. It focuses. It waits until the signal is clear. And now it is. The time has arrived. What was sealed opens. What was paused resumes. You don't need permission. You are the proof. And the vibration of your rise echoes through everything watching, listening, waiting. You are not delayed. You are deployed. The transmission continues. The one they doubted, overlooked, and tried to silence becomes the one who shifts the atmosphere simply by showing up. This is, not everyone inherits land or legacy, but some inherit something far more rare, an invisible script etched into their very cells. You carry codes embedded before breath, installed before birth, chosen before time as we know it began. You did not just arrive with skin and bones. You arrived with sacred schematics, woven from timelines your mind can't yet recall. Instructions passed from soul to soul, through centuries of survival, perseverance, and sacred rebellion. Within you lives the essence of those who endured when they had every reason to fall apart, and somehow they still dreamed. You are the embodiment of promises, made in silence, the continuation of prayers whispered without answers, the pulse of ancestors whose voices were never heard, but whose courage still echoes. They knew they wouldn't be the ones to complete the mission, but they knew someone would, that someone is standing here now. You were never sent to repeat. You were sent to disrupt. The weight you carry isn't coincidence. It's generational momentum. The unease you feel around mediocrity, that's your blueprint rejecting the ordinary. The pressure you feel in moments of stillness, that's legacy pressing inward, urging action. What you feel isn't ego, it's memory. There are truths in you that no one ever taught, and yet you know them like your own name. Not because you learned them, but because you are them. The power you carry doesn't come from applause or approval. It's ancient, it's encoded, and it refuses to be silenced, even when you try. Even when you fall apart, there's something in you that refuses to stay down. You don't rise because everything is easy. You rise because your foundation runs deep. You come from those who didn't just survive history. They carried the sacred through it. And now, that sacred is waking up through you. This is why you reject what's shallow, why empty conversations and scripted roles feel suffocating. You weren't designed to blend in. You were calibrated to confront. You weren't born for comfort. You were made to tilt atmospheres, to crack systems open by existing in your truth. There is fire woven into your purpose. The intensity you carry isn't a flaw, it's a feature. Your sensitivity, your highs and lows, your inner earthquakes, they're all signs that you were never built to carry small frequencies. You weren't born to follow tracks laid by others. You were released to carve roads no one else dared to imagine. You're not here to preserve what's broken. You're here to ignite what's buried. And the fire rising in you now, that's the signal. That's the shift. And you're right on time. You were never born to stay silent in the face of systems built on illusion. You didn't arrive to take up space. You arrived to dismantle shadows with clarity. You carry within you not just memory, but momentum. A pulse that didn't start with you, but chose to continue through you. Every not yet from generations past lives in your voice. Every whispered prayer, every desperate hope, every sacred plea has a name now, and that name is yours. And here you are, walking proof that pain can be prophecy in disguise. The loneliness you feel isn't emptiness, it's elevation. This kind of solitude doesn't come from the absence of company, but from the absence of connection. You can be surrounded and still feel unseen because your frequency exceeds familiarity. You weren't created to blend in, but to break patterns wide open. People fade. Attachments unravel. The ones you thought would walk beside you drift into distance. But that separation isn't a loss. It's a divine strategy. The detours are not punishments. They are redirections into purpose. The silence around you isn't rejection, it's calibration. When everything goes quiet, it's because the most important voice is being amplified. Your own. Where others seek noise, you are pulled into stillness. Not because you are meant to stop, but because you are meant to listen. What feels like delay is divine rhythm. Not everyone is meant to walk with you. Not because they are unworthy, but because your mission requires a stillness too loud for the crowd. Your essence runs on a unique frequency. You've known it your whole life. That strange feeling of being in the right place and still not feeling at home, that's your inner knowing, reminding you that you are tuned to a higher signal. You speak from a place many can't yet reach. That doesn't make you better. It makes you assigned. Where others build noise, you build vision. While the world talks of now, you sense what's ahead. And that sight comes with solitude. But the silence you keep, it holds more power than applause. Your stillness has never been stagnation. It's been strategy. The time in the dark was never wasted. It was where your clarity was carved. This hidden chapter was where you learned to walk without a spotlight, to believe without proof, to hold space for yourself when no one else did. And now, what was cultivated in the shadows begins to bloom in the light. The veil lifts, the path reveals, the signal sharpens, and the version of you that emerges is unshakable. Some things are not meant to be shaped by noise. They are meant to be born in sacred quiet. That is why you were pulled away, not to punish you, but to protect the forming. Because what is real must first be rooted, and now what was private becomes purposeful. The person you were in isolation no longer fits who you're becoming. Growth has rewritten your identity. Healing has sculpted your language. Surrender has rewritten your strength. You don't rise for recognition. You rise because you remember. And though many missed your becoming, none will miss your emergence. The fruit reveals what was once buried. The shift you trigger will ripple through souls you'll never meet. Your voice is no longer just a story. It is a signal, a guidepost for those still wandering. Your journey didn't end with survival. It began with impact. Because when someone like you speaks, the atmosphere doesn't just shift, it awakens. There's something about your voice, something that doesn't just echo in the air, but resonates in the spirit. When you speak, it's not just sound, it's activation. Something ancient stirs in others. Forgotten parts of themselves begin to rise from beneath the dust of doubt and delay. You didn't walk through flames just to survive them. You walked through them so you could illuminate the path for those still trapped in the smoke. The intensity of your journey forged more than endurance. It birthed weight in your presence. Not charisma, command. You carry more than words. You carry permission, an invitation for others to rise, to remember, to reclaim. People don't just hear what you say, they feel who you are. You carry frequency, not just voice. Vibration, not just message. Every moment you stayed when you could have run. Every time you rose instead of breaking. Every layer you peeled back in silence. It shaped the authority you now wear without needing to prove it. And now you reach a turning point, the sacred threshold where self-protection ends and sacred assignment begins. In that moment, shame unravels, fear loses ground, doubt is replaced with holy precision. You stop downplaying your journey. You stop covering your glow to make others comfortable. Because now you understand, your voice was never created for decoration. It was created to disrupt bondage. Feel God's love stirring within you. Don't let it stop there. Hit the super thank you button and sow a seed of $20 or more. That simple act can ignite hope, heal hearts, and carry His love further than you imagine. You were made to shine His light. This is your moment. Be the miracle someone's been praying for. Let heaven move through you. This is why your silence was attacked so early. Why fear coiled in your throat. Because your words are weapons. Your voice doesn't just echo. It unhooks people from chains they didn't even know they wore. You weren't just meant to speak. You were sent to undo. And now you speak from alignment, not ego. You speak from knowing. You've become living evidence that darkness doesn't win. That pain births purpose. That rejection breeds resilience. People shift simply by standing near your presence. You don't have to announce who you are. Your frequency does it for you. Your authenticity makes noise in the spirit world. And your obedience, it's an anthem. The very ground that tried to bury you now becomes the stage beneath your feet. Not for glory, but for impact. Every scar becomes a signature. Every wound becomes a doorway. You are no longer telling stories. You are transmitting codes. Every syllable is encoded with release. Every word disrupts the status quo. And now, what once looked like delay reveals itself as divine design. You were never behind, you were becoming. What seemed like detour was sacred engineering. And now, what confused you starts to clarify. The dream makes sense. The ache had purpose. The path was prophecy in motion. You no longer need signs to validate what your soul already knows. You are the confirmation. The alignment has arrived. The season you were told would never come. It's here, and it wears your name. The door isn't opening by accident. It's responding to your frequency. This isn't hype. This is holy. Every room you enter now shifts, not because you demand it, but because you embody it. The calling isn't just knocking, it's walking with you. Every decision you make, every boundary you uphold, every truth you release is part of something far older than your body, but now made manifest through it. You are not too much. You are right on time. The answer to a whisper passed from soul to soul across centuries. You're not adding to the story. You are the story, the chapter the world's been waiting for. And now, with every breath, the prophecy breathes. With every step, it moves. With every word, it awakens. You are the turning point, the convergence, the signal the unseen world has been watching for. This isn't your imagination, it's your initiation. So step forward, not with fear, but with fire, not with doubt, but with destiny. The ancient voice rises, and now it wears your voice.